The wonders made by man isn't a subject matter you probably recognize or remember. It was only mentioned once in Game of Thrones by Sam in Season 7 during his time in the Citadel, and a few times in the last book, A Dance with Dragons. Since the lore in the story is so detailed, there are history books written within the story that add in world building. One of these books is The Wonders Made by a Man by a character named Lomas Longstrider. Lomas was a writer and traveler from Westeros and is famous for his books. Wonders Made by a Man is only one of them. The other book he wrote is just titled Wonders, and it's a list of natural landmarks as opposed to his list of man-made ones. Lomas is noted as saying, "The gods made 7 wonders, and mortal man made 9. These books were a favorite of Tyrion's, and it's through his POV chapters we learn a lot about them. There is very little information on the natural wonders, so I'll be talking about the man-made ones. There are 9 in total, but only 7 have been confirmed so far. The first one I'll talk about is the Titan of Braavos. This is in no particular order, by the way. We see the Titan of Braavos when Stannis makes his way to the Iron Bank and when Arya goes to the House of Black and White. It's a stone and bronze fortress in the shape of a giant man, which guards the entrance into Braavos' waters. It is a primary line of defense for Braavos. The feet of the statue lie on 2 separate islands. The legs and lower torso are made of the same black granite that form the islands upon which it stands. They were originally a natural stone archway which was carved and shaped by 3 generations of sculptors and stonemasons. Above the waist, the Titan is bronze. The statue is much more than just a boast of power. The body is filled with halls and chambers, its brown breastplate punctured with arrow slits where archers can take out enemy ships. Whenever a ship approaches, an extremely loud horn is sounded, called the Titan's Roar. The next wonder is the Valyrian Rhodes, or Dragon Rhodes. When the Valyrian freehold ruled over Essos, the Dragon Lords used dragonfire to fuse stone and create this road that connected prominent cities to one another. 400 years after the Doom, these roads are still in good condition. They only run in a straight line and are built half a foot above the ground and are very wide. Next up is the Wall. It's 300 miles long and 700 feet high, with some areas being much higher. It's built from mostly ice and goes across the entire border of the 7 Kingdoms and the lands further north. Brandon the Builder, the first Stark, has been credited with the construction of it 8,000 years before the start of the story. It's said he had help from giants and children of the forest. It's built with the children's magic to protect against the others and whites, called White Walkers on the show. After the Long Night, the Night's Watch was created to guard the 7 Kingdoms, and they raised 19 castles along the wall. However, in the current story there are only 3 in use. There's a magical item in the books called the Horn of Jeramon, said to be able to bring down the wall by just blowing into it. Since we're on the topic of walls, the next wonder I'll talk about is the Triple Walls of Qarth. These 3 thick walls surround this ancient city and have been up for centuries. The show adapted Qarth a little differently, instead the writers settled with a gate instead of these 3 walls. The walls are 30, 40, and 50 feet high with engraved portraits of animals, war, and lovemaking. The walls represent the city well. Qarth is a port city known for its wealth and power. The outer wall is made of red sandstone, 30 feet high and decorated with animals. The middle wall is made of grey granite, 40 feet high, with scenes of war. The inner wall is made of black marble and 50 feet high. It's carved with scenes of lovemaking. Way out west from Qarth is Norvos, where the 3 bells of Norvos are located. The 3 bells govern every aspect of the lives of those in the city. The bells tell the Norvosi when to rise, sleep, work, rest, and when to take arms, when to pray, and when they are permitted to have relations. Each bell of its own has a distinctive sound and name. The bell Noom has a deep sound, Nara has a strong sound, and Nile with a higher pitched sound. Next is a long bridge. This bridge was adapted almost perfectly in Game of Thrones. They really showed off their budget with this one along with the Titan of Braavos. It's an old bridge that joins the 2 halves of Volantis. The half of Volantis east of the long bridge is the older and richer part of the city. Foreigners are generally restricted to the western half of the city. The road is barely wide enough for 2 carts to pass side by side. Buildings rise on each side of the roadway. In the center of the bridge, the hands of thieves and the heads of executed criminals lay. The buildings on both sides of the bridge include shops, temples, taverns, inns, parlors, and brothels. Most are 3 to 4 stories tall, and each floor extending further than the one beneath it. Customers can buy almost anything in the shops on the long bridge. The last wonder is the Palace with 1,000 Rooms. It was located in the city of Sarnath and home of the High King of Sarnar. This kingdom was taken out by the Dothraki during the Century of Blood that followed the doom of Valyria. Before this area became known as the Dothraki Sea, it was called the Grasslands. The Dothraki renamed this ruined city Vas Kiwo, which means City of Worms. This kingdom was powerful, but ignored the threat of the Dothraki, and they paid the price. Their cities burned, and in the current book story, only one city is left in this old kingdom. I know I said earlier there are 9 made by man, while I'm sitting here only talking about 7. The last 2 have yet to be named, and I remember watching an interview with George Martin where he said that Tyrion going on about the wonders would slow down the story, so he left it out. The only natural wonder I read about was the large cavern system of Norvos, but I may have missed some. So since the 8th and 9th man-made wonder have yet to be confirmed in the books by George Martin, I think that would be a great question to answer in the comments. What do you guys think these last 2 man-made wonders are? And what do you think the natural wonders are? Thanks for watching. I hope this one was enjoyable. I'll see you guys next time.